Test, test there.
Meg 2 Sabers requires a lot of work on engineering, drilling, smoothing, tapping, setting, imagining, cutting, stripping, twisting, dipping, tinning, Meg 2 Sabers.
Bam, we're live. No saber igniting tonight because we're trying to get a saber to ignite. So tonight we're going to work on this project, and I know we don't have any viewers in here. It is just after Thanksgiving. I know a lot of people are on the road, but this video will save up there for posterity. But what we're working on, I'll show you guys the box. This is a Phoenix Props Star Killer. This is Phoenix Props 7-chamber Star Killer. And this was their Star Killer V1, not the IG. This was the first Star Killer they did, which I actually like better than the IG. But this is it. So this is the Phoenix Prop Star Killer, and I wanted you guys to see it. It looks a little bit better than it did, in the video. I want you guys to kind of see that it's a lot shinier. But in a lot of the pictures on Facebook, it was really worn down and really ragged, and really rusty. But I polished this back out to get the shine back to it, and then the wear and tear is just in the corners and the edges where we want it to be. Of course, the heat blowing's still there. I did decide on using the digitized emitters, and what I did to do this weathering was a mixture of Birchwood Casey's aluminum black on the hilt. Set that in, you all know what that is. And then I also used this Rust Effects, which I get at the Hobby Lobby. And this is actually real rust. So what you're doing is, there's primer. Let me put the Star Killer in there's primer in this. And, there's your primer. And you prime what you're wanting to rust. And then there's your iron paint. It's paint that has iron in it. And then once you paint your iron, this is your actual activator that causes you to get iron oxide. So you're really getting real iron oxide on an aluminum hilt, which is, impossible because you cannot get iron oxide on aluminum. And it was funny because, there was some talk about, apparently somebody said aluminum doesn't rust, and aluminum does rust. Aluminum can rust, but it's aluminum oxide, and aluminum oxide basically keeps it from rusting further. But at any rate, so that's how we got the wear and tear on the Star Killer. This is a brand new hilt, even though it doesn't look like it there. This is a brand new hilt. It's been weathered to look old and beat up. Remember that, this hilt was built out of junkyard parts by Galen Merrick, Star Killer, and it looks the part. I wanted it to look like a junkyard saber with some rust and dust on it, and it's got it. So there we go. Now, this one is going to get installed with Profi board V2.2. And the cool thing about the Profi board that's going in this one is I'm using the Clear Mask Profi board. This is going to be the Clear Mask Profi board. And we're getting ready to install this sucker tonight. And I'm going to move over here to the soldering station and get to work because it's not like a lot of people are knocking down the doors. Hopefully we'll get some viewers as we get transition. So y'all stand by. I'm going to put y'all over to the interwebs to hide my camera change. But we're going to go ahead and change cameras and get my camera over here on the workbench. I'm still here with you guys. I'm just changing cameras right now, so just bear with me. And we'll try to get this thing where everybody can see what we're doing. And that's pretty good there. So we need to and then that should be pretty good. All right, so now let me turn some light on the subject. And let's go ahead and bring you guys in. So I'm going to bring you guys in to the scene here. And we're going to go ahead and and unscrew the rear of the hilt to get to our chassis. I've already pre-wired the chassis. It's all ready to rock and roll. So all our wires are roughed in here. We're ready to go. And it's just a matter of let's get the property board in there. Now, before I get rolling on that, this is how I do my, this is my wiring diagram. So everybody can see this is like the blade defines in the bottom of my config file. So I know that my main blade, which is here, I know it's on blade power pin 2 and 3, which we already know that, and it's on blade pin, which is data 1. My second blade, which is just a single neopixel that's on my chamber, that's on data 2, blade 2 pin, blade power pin 1, and then my secret pixel string, which I'll hook up at the end, is 15 pixels. It's going to be on data 3 on blade power pin number 4. Hey, Cam Kanama, great to see you. So we're getting ready to rock and roll here on this install. We're getting ready to roll this thing out, and I'll get you guys zoomed in so you can see, and we'll be ready to rock and roll. We'll be ready to rock and roll. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do my my typical blade pin 2 and 3 on the Profi board. I want to go ahead and get them set up, and I guess I could have done this beforehand, but I didn't. But I'm going to go ahead and get the blade power pins 2 and 3. Hey, Robert Myers, good evening. We're going to get blade power pin 2 and 3 here soldered together. Now I know some people want to, will run the wire up through here, and that's fine. To each their own. I know not everybody agrees with how I jump 2 and 3 here, but it works for me. It works for me, and I like it. So we got Robert Myers and Kim Kanama on board. I'm just installing this thing. It shouldn't take too long. It's already roughed in. I did film the rest of the roughing in, which once this video publishes, I'll take, I'll copy this video off the internet, and then I probably should have zoomed you guys in for that. But anyway, I'll zoom you guys in here in a minute. But what I'm doing is I'm solidifying this. I'm doing my merge on this Profi board there. So basically, let me zoom you guys back out now and kind of explain to you what's going on. So I do the resistor tail thing here, and basically what we're doing is we're going to be merging the blade power pins 2 and 3 on the Profi board diagram. If you guys look at that, blade power pins 2 and 3 will run our main blade. So our main blade negative wire is going to these pins, and the reason that we have to bridge these or go to 2 of them is because on a NeoPixel lightsaber, the main blade I've left that way too long. The main blade is actually requires a lot of amps, and what we're trying to do is divide that amp load amongst 2 MOSFETs, and I'll explain what the MOSFETs are here in a second, instead of just one, and that makes it a little bit safer, but it also makes our blade brighter that we're carrying a full amp load. So the Profi board has 6 MOSFETs on it, 6 MOSFETs. There's 3 on the top side and there's 3 on the bottom side. And each of those MOSFETs corresponds to an LED pad. I don't remember which one is LED 1, 2. I think this is 1, 3, and 5, and this is 2, 4, and 6 on the back, but don't quote me on that. But the bottom line is, we've got our, bridge coming up through here. I'm going to zoom you guys in so we can finish this off, and you'll be able to see that I'm going to this next one on this bridge right there. And actually, I need to cut that off a little bit. And then we will begin the install. And we will begin the install on this. Hey, Cole Weathers. Great to see you, Cole. So once I do this bridge, I mean, we're ready to be rocking and rolling. We'll start the install, and probably the first thing we're going to do is I should have put my old man glasses on. I don't even have my old man glasses on yet, y'all. So I'm gonna have to put those on. I'm just gonna try to get a little bit more solder here on the bridge on our back where we're gonna put our main neopixel negative wire. Yeah, we want it nice and buttered up with solder. Bobby Susan box on. Great to see you, Bobby. That light, I'm gonna hit it with my soldering hand. All right, so now our proppy board is ready to go, and I'm gonna zoom you guys out. And I'm going to bring back in the Saber to kind of show y'all where we're at. This is a clear mass proppy board. This is kind of a rarity. This one came from KR Sabers. I love it. It's pretty cool. And this will be the first one I've ever installed. It's the only one I own, so hopefully this goes well. Hopefully we don't butcher the install. The first things first, I'm going to get my main NeoPixel negative out of this bundle of wires, which I had all tucked in because I wanted to be able to try the back of the hilt on, but I know this is my main NeoPixel negative here. And there she blows. And I know that my main NeoPixel negative, I know I need it to go there, so we're gonna rough cut this thing about right there. And I always do this solder first because I have to do this one upside down. And to me, it's a lot easier. To me, it's a lot easier. Oh, I love the new visor. I don't have it on yet, but I'm getting ready to put it on here in a minute because I'll need it to see this stuff. And we'll strip some of our main NeoPixel negative wire here. And get my board out of the way. Let's put some flux. Let's get some flux on that wire. And we'll come in here and tin this wire. I didn't explain too much about the chassis, and I'll do that here in a second before we wire the soundboard in. But this is a Goth 3D chassis, and I've got a Key Power 18650, but I've wrapped it in copper clad. I've got a 1.3 millimeter recharge port right here, and I've got an on-off switch here. There's actually a board cover that's going to go on once we get the board on. Go there, and got some cool stuff to show you there later. But right now, let's get this soundboard on here, and I'm going to try and. This is always, like, I think one of the hardest solders of the whole deal because it just is because it's upside down. But hopefully I've left enough slack here and bend that wire, and we're gonna get the profi board in here, and hopefully, yep, I think that's gonna work. And clean my iron. After I do this solder, I'll put the visor on and check this solder. But I'll also, I know this is going to be a big one. That helping hand just doesn't want to. So that's our main NeoPixel negative soldered onto the bridge. Let me ditch my baseball hat. And, oh yeah, the hemostats are spot on. All right, I'm inspecting the solder now, and I kind of like what I see. So solder number 1 is done. We're golden there. And I just want to make sure that we can push the board back, where it's going to be. All right, now, typically when I do the profi board, I start on this side and work my way up. And I'm pretty sure I've got data 2 and data 3 that I'll need to run up here. So data 2, let's share. Let me get the blind man glasses off, and let's go to screen share, no peek, and let's pull up the Profi board diagram. We need a Profi board 2.2 diagram, Profi 2.2 pin map. So I know I need data 2. That's going to be my crystal chamber, and that's the next to last pad on this far side. And my data 2 crystal chamber, I believe, was a brown wire. So I've got to find it. Purple is data 1. Hang on a minute, y'all. I'm sorting out all my wires. Orange. Oh, great. There it is. I got it. I was missing a wire there, and I'd stowed all my wires so I could put the back of the chassis on. The back of the hilt, I'm sorry. I might have to add an extension on my main data wire. I'm going to bring you guys in here. I know you guys are all framed there. I'm going to bring you guys in. All right, now we're back. So, oh, that ain't good. How did that wire break? I guess I must have put too much tension on it. We're going to have one of them nights here, I can already tell. We're going to have to redo that. That's going to be really tight now. I don't know how tight that's going to be. My main neopixel wire broke. That has never happened before. 22 gauge, I've never seen a 22 gauge break like that. But I was maybe putting a lot of pressure on it when I was moving things around. At any rate, we'll retin it and solder it back on our bridge. Yeah, that wire broke off there, bigger than this. You know, I may not have you in perfect frame here when I do this because this is kind of precarious because that wire got shortened up a lot shorter than I really cared for it to be. Let's see what we can do here. Okay. Now, this gray is my data 2 to my NeoPixel, and you know what? It's too short. I'm gonna add to it. This is bad. I'm gonna have to add to my purple one too. I can already see it's too short. I cut them too short, which is pretty dumb. But this can be fixed by Saber. This is my Saber. It's not a customer Saber. This is mine. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to splice this data wire so it's long enough. And put some heat shrink over it so we can get to our pad. We can't even get to our pad because Home Slice cut that wire too short. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see this. I'm going to try and get y'all in there where you can see it here in a minute. But I'm underneath the board now, and you're not going to be able to see a lot of this. But basically, my data 2 wire was probably just a hair too short. So I'm scabbing a little wire onto it. And now I'm going to put some heat shrink over my patch. And rock and roll. I really don't want to yank on these wires. They're, pretty tight in the chassis. I'm going to get some heat shrink on that data 2 wire, and you'll see me, I'm going to wire this data 2 wire here in just a second. If y'all remember from the Profi board diagram, this one's got to go to the next to last pin up here, and that's where we're getting ready to go. Oh, man. My hot air isn't hot. I don't know why that is. My hot air station's not heating up. So we're gonna have to go to the old style of hit this shrink wrap here on the iron, on the clean part of the iron, to shrink up our shrinkaroo wrap, which is what I did. All right. I don't know why that's not coming to temperature, but it is what it is. So my hot air station has gone through bar tonight. Right now, that's not what we need. I'm getting ready to bring you guys in frame because now we're going to take this data 2. Our Profi board's going to go about right there. I know our data 2 needs to come up there, right about right there. And I did cut that wire about 6 millimeters too short, which really sucks. I don't know what I was thinking when I cut that wire, but whatever. We scabbed a little piece onto it, and now we're going to tin it. And pre-tin my iron, get a little bit of solder on my iron. Pre-tin that wire. We're going to hemostat grab it. We're going to come up through that data 2 line. Jeff Birch, bend it over and bring you guys in. And try to move everything around where you can see it maybe. Zooming you guys in. There we go. Oh man. I see Benji got here. I wish I could hear you guys. I'm neck deep in this, and I made a couple mistakes. And That cost me some time, but other than that, we're ready to rock and roll. Now, the next wires I need to wire are going to be my speakers, which are going to go here and here. Which, let me zoom you guys out because you guys are like way zoomed in there. You guys are seeing the entirety of the universe there. So my speaker wires are going to go here and here. So I got to pull them out of the chassis. There, these orange wires. Normally I make my speaker wires blue, but I was out of 30 gauge blue PTFE, so I had to use orange. So Profi board's going to go about there. Speaker wires need to be about yay long. Cut them a little bit longer than expected to give us a little bit of leeway. And let's go ahead and strip these two speaker wires. Hey, my speaker wires match the Profi board, huh? Trying to catch up on chat. I definitely like the new visor. It's good to see you, Benji. Solo Sabers. The funny thing is Jeremy made his, he made his Star Killer and he's already sold it. I saw it today where he sold it and I'm like, oh my God, man, that was quick. He installed that thing and had it for like a couple of hours and then sold it. I definitely want to make a Star Killer, and I get it that it's about the chase. I totally get it. And I definitely want to make a Star Killer out of my 2.0s, but at least one of my 2.0 kits. So I showed you guys I've got that. We'll get you guys zoomed in here. I'm soldering the speaker pads on. Get you guys in here. You'll see where I'm at in a minute. I'm right here. And I'm going to go ahead and get some flux on the subject here. But yeah, Jeremy already sold that Saber. That Saber was awesome. And it's already out the door. It was like, I'm trying to birch method that one. The other one I'm not going to be able to because there's too much solder in it when I pretend it. There's that one. And there's that one. And then I can trim that stuff that's sticking out there and trim the stuff that's sticking out here. Let's zoom you guys back out. Okay, next. See, power pin 1 and 4. So I think my next wire is going to be my auxiliary switch because I'm not using 5 or 6. So next wire is going to be my auxiliary switch, which is always my yellow wire. For those of y'all that watch my installs, you know I always make my auxiliaries yellow. So we'll cut our auxiliary wire about right there to leave us some slack. And strip it and goop it. Y'all remember watching Shameen's videos when he was making up all those sayings about strip it, tin it, bloop it, all that other crap? Then he would be singing. He was so crazy, man. I always smile every time I watch Shameen's videos. I hate that Shameen took his all his videos down off of YouTube. He was really funny. I don't know whether it was, some of the mess, that Jordan Mall was in or what, but I don't think anybody ever blamed Shameen for any of that. Shameen could have been in trouble with the IRS or something. Yeah, I saw that flagship that Jeremy just etched for you, Cole. That's looking pretty sweet, man. Gotta love that flag. You gotta love those flagships, man. They're just very cool Sabers. All right, so there's our auxiliary switch. I'm gonna trim that little spare little nub there. Now, um, hmm, my crystal chamber goes to blade power pin 1, so I don't need that yet. We've already wired blade power pins 2 and 3. Blade power pin 4 is going to be the secret, so I'm not going to mess with that yet. So it looks like the next thing we're going to need is our main switch, which is our green wire. So we're actually progressing around the hilt. We're going to turn the hilt around, try to get it back in the frame here with you guys. I had to spin it around for me. I try to make sure that, I'm this way, and I try to make sure that I'm not putting the soldering iron over the board. So I'm always trying to work the board where I don't have to go over it with the soldering iron. So I'm actually trying to go, under the board with the soldering iron and stuff. And right now I need to go and grab some wires and pull them my way here. Y'all hang on. Because now is when, the cram food begins. You have to make sure that your wires are routed where you want them. This is my common ground for my switches. And then now I've got to pull my main switch around from my main neopixel negative and, get it where I need it. So I'm basically, my main switch is going to go about right there. We're going to cut it and leave enough slack to move around, but not too much that we can't cram through it. I have to redo my first MHS build, the Mako, because the igniter died on it, and it actually didn't break my heart that the igniter died, and especially now with 2020 pixels. See, I always like the shine through I got on that thing on the igniter. Where I did the 0603 LEDs on the igniter, and I got that to shine through the hilt, and I was always not wanting to give that up. But now with 2020 pixels and with all the tricks that Kim Kanama has shown me, I can kind of achieve the same effect and maybe better under the hood there. So, I'm kind of not that worried about it. All right, so this is my main switch, my green wire. Bada bang. Main switch is on. Now, I need my negative for my NeoPixel crystal chamber, which I saw it, and it is going over here to blade power pin 1. And it's this little black wire right here. Oh, come on, baby. Little black wire right here. I'll zoom you guys in here in a second. I guess I'm going to have to strip this sucker. And that white wire is going to be in the way, aren't you? This is the negative to my crystal chamber NeoPixel that's, going to be driving my crystal chamber. And a little bit of fluxer action on there. And off we go. And y'all, give me a second. Once I tin this wire, I'll bring you guys in. I'll zoom you guys in so you can see. I really hate it that I couldn't do this on Jeremy's live. Works in the way. Matter of fact, I was on call for work this week, and right before my live stream, there's some crap going on at work, and I thought I was going to have to go in, and I was like, doesn't that just figure? And it resolved, thank God. I'm going to zoom you guys in and move you over, and I have to bring there. It's all confusing because it's reversed in the camera from where I'm looking at. We're actually working on that one right there. This is the LED 1, and this is the negative to my chamber NeoPixel. You can see my shaky hands. And I never cut the wire sticking out of there. All right, so that brings us to our main battery negative, which is going to go here. And our main battery negative is this white wire right here, which comes off my recharge port. So if y'all give me a second, I have to pull that wire out of there where I can access it. Probably ought to pull that red wire out of there too while we're at it, because we're going to need it here in a second. Y'all just bear with me. I got to pull these wires out. Red. I need it here in a second. And then if I can get my forceps on that white wire, she don't want to cooperate. Oh, I got it. Got it. All right. So next is our main battery negative. And I want to get our common switch ground out of the way here because it's kind of in my way. Our main battery negative, you know, when the Profi board is about right there, we're going to need about yay long. This is 22 gauge, so you really don't want to leave too much spare on the 22 gauge because that makes cram fu all the more harder. And I'm going to strip this 22 gauge PTFE wire there. And hey, Smuggler's Outpost, I don't know if that's Sotomayor or if it's Albert Flores, but hello to whoever's on there. I talked to Sotomayor here a little bit ago because I need some switches and glass eyes from Sotomayor. His stuff is, you know, pretty awesome. By the way, guys, I've determined that I don't like the KR dual switches. I just don't like them. I like the ones that Sotomayor did a lot better. All right, let's get some flux on our main battery negative. Oh, it's Albert. Main battery negative. Hey, Albert, I don't know if you know this, but you know, a bunch of years ago, you had a old MR. It was like a skinny flex, and it was a project that you didn't want. And I bought it from you, and I think that was kind of before Smuggler's Outpost really took off a lot. You said it was a project that you really just didn't want to mess with, and I'm like, oh, I will. And you know, I actually turned that into a really cool saber. I don't know if I ever told you about that, but I did turn that Skinny Flex MR into a really, really cool saber. It was NeoPixel, and it actually went to a Disney Anakin at Walt Disney World. How cool is that? And I've also got Quillians on a Disney World Kylo. Now this is my common switch ground, y'all. This is my white ground that's common to both of my switches in the switch control box up there on top of the saber. Move closer to the mic, Brian. Sorry. Yeah, I can't. The mic's like way away from where I'm at. We talked about that, Brian. I've got to work on getting a better mic system. I definitely got the camera worked out where you guys are getting ready to get on here. So what's going on here now is this is my main switch ground, which is common ground to both of my switches, and it's going right there. Switches, bitches. And little flux action. Mundo Cabrera, what's up? Yeah, I know. I gotta yell. I gotta remember to yell. I'm glad Brian said something. You know, someday I'll have a more professional mic or whatever, right? I mean, my camera zoom in's pretty good, but you know, the rest of it not so much. I might have to extend my main data, so I'm looking at that. Yeah, it's a little short. I'm gonna have to extend my main data. Am I gonna be able to do that? Yeah. All right, let's get my positive wire on here. This is 26 gauge pigtail going to my positive on my Profi board. I mean, technically we could, you know, put an SD in it and turn it on here in a second, but I'm gonna have to make my data, my main blade data line a little bit longer. Same thing I had to do on my chamber data line because I apparently cut those too short. You know, I was trying to cut them down short so I could tuck everything in so I could test fit the hilt because this chassis is like way too tight inside this hilt. And, you know, I don't know what's going on with my hot air station, but it's not heating up. I have to take this damn wiring harness apart and find out what's up with it. That sucks. My hot air station's not heating up anymore. Oh man, might be time for a new soldering iron. Might be time for a new soldering station. Which that stinks, you know. This one's been a good one. She's been a good one. My last one was Radio Shack. All right, so now I got my positive up through there. I'm gonna try and get y'all in where you can see this and zoom you in a little bit where you can see what I'm doing. Just see where I'm gonna put this flux at. That's right where my positive is at. Fluxer. Oh yeah, this Profi's sick. Sick Benji. This was a limited one from KR Sabers, like Halloween from before the pandemic. And I bought one. I'm like, oh man, that thing is the bomb.com. Look at that. And, you know, I definitely bought one from Cal. Yeah, my damn NeoPixel negative wire. I mean, my NeoPixel data wire for a main blade is way too short. It's not going to reach. It's about 6 millimeters too short. So, you know, I'm going to scab on some additional wire there. There we go. And twist and 10. I got to scab on a little piece of wire here, y'all. I cut both my data lines for my main blade and my crystal chamber too short. So I'll get y'all back on here in a minute. I don't need that much. I was like just a few millimeters too short. Let me zoom you guys out. Zoom you guys out while I'm working on this because I know you guys were like zoomed way in there. Zoomies, like, you know, when you're anybody got a dog, do dogs get your zoomies? Like, you know, tonight when I finish this, I'm gonna go on my next walk of the day and walk risky, which I told you about my weight loss adventure because, you know, I'm fat. Because I'm fat. So I'm down 35 pounds, y'all, 35 pounds. And, you know, I'm definitely on a mission to lose that weight. Yep, I did pre-program it. Man, I did all that stuff, Jeremy. I was ready to rock and roll the other night. And, you know, when the work thing happened, I was just like, are you freaking kidding me? Because I've been busting my butt like all before Thanksgiving to make sure that this thing was ready to rock and roll. for your stream, because I wanted to be able to get it fired up, in about 35-40 minutes. And I got to do the old school shrinkaroo with my soldering iron because something's wrong with my heat gun. I don't even know what it is. All right, so data 1 on Profi board V2 is right there. I know because I've wired a lot of them. They don't even need labels, right? I'm sure Jeremy's the same way. If you guys want to check, we can go check. So, screen captured, no peak. Let's go look at the diagram. You can see that data 1 is 1, 2, 3 up from the bottom on the left, which is where we're getting ready to rock and roll on this. So this is the last wire of the not secret stuff. Now, where is my stream? Oh, found my stream. I lost you guys for a minute there. Here we go. All right, we're back on the scene. And let me get this main data line strip. This is the last wire of the main wires in the Saber that we got to wire. And then there's another secret squirrel thing I'm going to bring in here and show you in just a second. And yeah, by the way, guys, I do have a Prism 5.1 test board. And, it comes in handy for things like I'm getting ready to show you next, because when I first wired this thing up, it was kind of squirrely on the test rig. And then, when I tested it the second time on the test rig, I had much success. And, hopefully that way, by the time we wire what's coming next into the Saber, it's going to work too. And, which is going to be pretty awesome. Also, I had to leave the speaker out of this one because I got to run in the board supports after I get this all soldered down. Probably not going to be able to put the covers and all that on it tonight on this stream, but should be able to see it fire up so you can kind of get a preview of what's going to be happening. Oh man, you guys were off screen. Sorry. I'm actually below the camera there. All right. So technically now the Profi board will fire up. Well, I got a surprise. Bam! So I got a strip of 2020s, and this is 15 2020s wired in parallel, and I want them to go, over the soundboard like this. And I've got to wire this to my NeoPixel negatives, got to go to power pin 4 and data 3 and positive. So power pin 4 is here. So I'm going to put my NeoPixel strips about where they're going to be. And I know I want to leave a little slack. So that needs to go to blade power pin 4. I'm going to leave a little bit more slack. And let's go ahead and get that stripped. Oh yeah, so this is 30 NeoPixels that are going to be sitting on top of the board. This is going to be awesome. I actually did similar to this on my other Star Killer builds, but I used 3535s, and I think I was only able to get 2 or 3 in there. With 2020s, you can jam a lot more in there. It's crazy. All right, so this is going to blade power pin 4. The NeoPixel negative line from this is going to blade power pin 4. I'm going to leave y'all zoomed out here, and hopefully get all this done. So blade power pin 4 is going to be really hard for me to get to, or not. There's blade power pin 4. Put a little bit of flux on the subject. And then we got to go to the thing and find data 3 because I don't remember data 3 because I just don't use data 3 a lot. And then we're also going to have to find somewhere for the positive wire to go on the board. So I'm probably going to send it to a 3.3 volt pad. Let's go to screen share real quick. And let's go to Profi board. So I think data 3 is, so it's speaker, speaker, button 3, data 3. So speaker, speaker, skip 1, data 3. And then I think I'm going to go to the 3.3 volt pad. So just up from data 1 with my positive. And I think I'm going to do both of those on top of the Profi board to make life simpler. I think I'm going to do that. If you ever need accent pixel strips, I carry 20/20 thin and flexible strips. Oh yeah, I know. So I've got rolls of 20/20 strips, and they can't fit anywhere. They're just awesome. And me and Kim Kanama and I are actually, Kim does a lot more than me, but I'm actually making like 15/15 accents and 15/15 PCBs. All right, so my positive wire I'm going to put to right here above my data 1. So let me cut this one to length. And this is my 3.3 volt pad, and it'll be enough to power the pixels, you know. I'm gonna leave a little bit of slack. And we're gonna go ahead and, I suppose I could wire it to the 5 volt. I think these are 5 volt LEDs, but I'm just gonna wire it to the 3 volt. It'll be fine. It'll be just fine. And I think I'm going to go over the Profi board on this one. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pre-tin the pad, and I'm going to do it old school and solder on top of the Profi board. So I'm going to go ahead and pre-tin the pad. I'm going to pre-tin my wire, and I'm going to pre-tin this pad. And I'm going to cut a little bit off this wire. I'm going to lower my old man vision down for this one. And my old man vision's hitting the damn camera. All right, so there's my positive on the 3.3 volt pad. And then I'm going to turn the Saber around, and then we're going to go speaker, speaker, data. So let me bring my data line over here. After I solder this wire on, we'll be ready to throw the SD card in here and rock and roll. Now, I'm not going to solidify the rest of the install tonight, but you'll be able to see kind of what we got going on. So remember, I went speaker, 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 skip 1, data. So if I need this to go there, we'll cut it about right there. We're going to put this on top of the Profi board as well. I'm not going to go underneath. That way, if I need to remove this strip at a later date, I can just take the strip out and, work on the Profi board or add components or whatever without having to get in underneath. Okay. So there's that. Now we got to strip our final data wire. This is the last wire, y'all. Last wire of the install. And I know it looks a little bit crazy, but I have a plan to neaten all this up. And then I'll try and look at the chat here a little bit too. All right. Let's solder this, tin this wire. I'm going to cut it because I don't want it quite that long. And old man glasses, engage. course, the NeoPixel strip's gonna get in the way too, right? It's getting in the way of my eyes, so I'm gonna have to do something with that. All right, let's try this again. Oh, shaky hands. I don't particularly like that solder, but it's going to work for demonstration purposes. Okay. So we need an SD card. We need an SD card. And oh, where's my box? SD card. Got it. Watch it say font directory not found, SD card not found. All right. Okay. She's all installed. This is my main switch. There's not anything in the recharge port. Let's throw the main switch to her. Oh, baby. Look at those 30 neopixels. That's going to be sick. Let's turn this thing on. Oh, crystal chamber. We've got a fail going in the crystal chamber. My pixel's not really lighting up the crystal chamber that good. I mean, it's a little bit, but not much. But my connector is doing good. So I'm going to have to disconnect it and find out what's going on with my crystal chamber. Oh, this is a magnetic stand. I've been watching Albert and all the magnetic stuff he uses, and I'm converting everything to magnetics. But at any rate, whoa! Oh, my motion gestures work. But at any rate, you guys can see that the 30 pixel strand there. Look at there. Look at that pattern.
It's just bad these days.
Huh. If y'all don't think that's bright, let's test the music. Oop. Well, so I got to take it apart and find out why my crystal chamber is not lighting up. It's a good thing I didn't glue all that in. I might end up having to replace that neopixel in the crystal chamber. Although it's lit up in there, it's just not shining on the crystal. I can see it lit up inside of there. Oh, you know what? It came unglued. My neopixel came unglued in there. So that should be an easy fix. But I'm not going to do it tonight. That's enough for tonight. Did I show you guys the thing working? You can see my you know I got a stock connector in there. It's working. I'll get the crystal working, and probably do another live video later tonight. But so basically, what's going to happen is this NeoPixel strip will be there, and then this cover, once I get everything down, will be like there. So it's going to look more like that, which that's giving you a better preview of what's coming. So then let's look at the different effects. There's your different effects on the 2020s.
It's just bad these days.
That's a blue flash, but it's crazy. And then there's, like a normal Cylon or whatever. And there's a going from center out. See, I could do subblades there and do the ends white, like kind of like you saw on on the Star Killer that Jeremy did. But at any rate, let me get the camera moved. Y'all stand by. I'm going to put you back in. I'm going to put you back in screen capture for a second while I move cameras. Y'all just bear with me for 1 second. Let me get this camera moved, and I'll show you this thing in totality. Because it's time for me to go off risky. But let's get this up there. Let's get back to you guys. Aha! All right. I think the camera lens had some goop on it or something. But at any rate, there you can see that is insane. Those 2020 neopixels. Once I get all this solidified and down in there, and once I get the board cover on and get the Saber solidified down in there. Of course, you know my motion gestures work. Smuggler's Outpost 28mm bass speaker, Profi board, clear mask, 2020 accent strips. We get the crystal chamber working. It does have a shock adapter. And this is my preset where, it's a demo preset. So I wanted all the blinkies going, including the emitter. So I got the emitter flashing on and off too on the second preset, the second Star Killer preset. Man, that NeoPixel is working in there in the crystal chamber. It just came unglued. It's actually shining inside of there. So I'll get that fixed and we'll get that shining back on my crystal like it's supposed to be. But that's pretty cool Saber. That's gonna be awesome. You guys see I went with the digitized 1 years. It's still got the heat stained emitter. I did a lot of wear and tear even on the buttons. Like you can see that button. And I did a lot of wear and tear on the midsection, including some rust, and that's real rust. And I showed how I got that at the beginning of the video tonight. And I wanted to show you guys the back of the hill. Hang on a minute, stupid motion gestures. Here's the back of the hill, and you can see, it's kind of shiny. But I did wear even on the grips, like on the outside section of the grips, where you'd be holding it. And then I left the patina, the copper patina and the rust in these sections, where your hand doesn't touch it. So it's worn where your hand grabs it, and it's also worn on the saber clip, where this thing's going in and out of the saber clip, which I have one here somewhere. I have a saber clip here. You put the saber clip on your belt, and you drop your saber in, and off you go. But where you're using the saber clip, you would have some wear and tear. So I even did wear and tear on that. I did wear and tear on the pommel. This thing is going to look pretty sick. I think it's pretty awesome. What do you guys think? I did a lot of work on this saber. I will do another video to show you all the finished product. But I mean, you guys can see how awesome that 2020 strip is. I mean, look how bright that thing is. That is just going to be sick. So, yeah, I love this Star Killer. It was a lot of fun, and I'm glad I finally got to use my orange Profi board, and we got this Star Killer working. I'll do another video with it working. I'm sorry about the prom stunt. I cut two of my data wires too short, had to scat onto them, but hey, it's a personal build, but this thing's going to be awesome. And yeah, I also used Casey's aluminum black on this thing. So I'll show you guys the kit again that I use. Of course, Casey's aluminum black. I use that on the hilt. And then I use this accent. It's rust, and I got this from the Hobby Lobby. This came from Hobby Lobby. And it's a 3-stage kit. You basically have primer. And then you have this iron paint, which has iron in it. And then you have the activator, this stuff, which you spray on the iron paint, and then the iron paint actually rusts. It's a way to get real iron oxide on aluminum. So it's pretty cool. Yep. That's what I'm doing, Brian. I tried to make it like we weather stuff in the 501st Legion. That's how I tried to make it. And I love this thing, man. It's going to be awesome. When this Saber's done, I need to send it to Benji for glam shots because I suck as a photographer. But I can already tell you that the shots that I've shown of the Saber don't do it any justice because in person the thing is just outstanding. And yeah. So that was the thing, Benji. I haven't built a personal saber for myself since my mentor Graflex, and that was 2 years ago. It was in 2020. It was in December of 2020. So from December of 2020 to almost December of 2022, I haven't made any personal builds for myself. And that's kind of not true because I did the Profi Board 3.7 saber in between all that, but that was, to test Profi Board. That wasn't really necessarily for myself, but the last main project that I was really happy about that I wanted to build for myself was the Mentor Graphics. So yeah, we got we definitely got a Star Killer action. I can't wait to show you guys this thing finished. But you guys got to see it rough drafted, almost done. Now I got to unass this chassis and get my damn NeoPixel point at the crystal chamber. So that's going to be a disaster, and you guys don't want to be around for that. So at any rate, yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I will show another demo video of this thing in action. It's going to be an awesome saber. Thank you guys for coming along for the ride, and I'm sorry I didn't get this done the other night on Solo Sabers stream, but thank you everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. May the force be with you, or the dark side as it were.
Thank you everybody for watching as usual. I really appreciate y'all tuning in on my channel. And as always,